everybody. Welcome to the Palmtop podcast. My name is Kyle.
My name is Alex.
And here on the Palmtop podcast, we watch anime shows to their completion. Think of us as watch-along buddies. You know, you're watching the series, want someone to talk to, don't have anybody to talk to. Hey, pretend you're talking to somebody.
A slice of life, drama, comedy, romance, anything with really strong characters.
And anything where they're not really punching each other. It's more fond looks to each other.
That's true. Though in our first show, Toradora, a lot of sword hitting.
You know what, fair?
But it's ultimately a show about romantic love, so that's what drew us to it.
Yeah, man. Worth your time.
Unfortunately, first episode was recorded on 2 potatoes.
Yep, 2 potatoes tied to string, not great.
If you want to check out our show, but you're not big on the potato quality, go check out the next episode. We cover Toradora 3 and 4.
And if you guys are looking for other content, we did, past that, we did the show Silver Spoon, farming, many farms, cows, horses. And then we did the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
Aliens, time travelers, sliders.
That never happened.
No.
And then we have Hyoka, which we're just about to start. So Alex knows nothing about it, but I know everything about it.
Ice cream, mysteries,
and juggling. You nailed it. Guys, we're going to stick to a YouTube format. We're probably going to give you about 2 episodes a week until we catch up. Then you'll be getting us as we come out. YouTube. It's the way of the future 10 years ago.
That's right. Oh, what's that? Oh, Kyle, I've just been informed YouTube has crashed.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to lie. I did not prepare for this at all.
Oh, no.
Okay, what are we going to do? Shoot.
Let's turn over the piggy bank. Nothing. There's nothing in the piggy bank.
Nothing. Okay. Anime's doomed. Okay.
Anime's doomed. Sorry, guys. We're going to review Tasty Cakes now.
But before we do that, here's Toradora 1.
Yeah, sorry.
So I guess we should start off by saying I watched this series in full quite some time ago. I'd say maybe it was out for a year. It was all completely out when I watched it. And at the time, I know I really enjoyed it. But it's been long enough where I've forgotten most of the plot.
I inverse. I watched it October last year. Through like maybe 2 weeks. I binged the entire thing. I was hooked on it, and I watched it with the English dub that had just come out on Crunchyroll, and so I had a very kind of fresh perspective of it.
Yeah, I should also say I watched it subbed the first time. This is my first experience with the dub.
So yeah, before we get into the dub, let's get into the story. So I'm assuming anyone listening, if you're listening, know what Toradora is. It's slice of life rom-com about 2 awkward teenagers trying to win the affections of their SOs by helping each other out. And it kind of has an interesting take on the whole hot and cold personality and the delinquent looking character, and it kind of like takes those and kind of pulls it in what feels like a fresh direction.
Oh yeah.
And episode 1 and 2 is just kind of setting up the building blocks of their repertoire and kind of the world they live in, which is like Ryuji, the main male character, lives on his own with his mother, and a strange bird, and they have a kind of like this lower middle class life where he does most of the cooking and cleaning, and then Taiga, the female, lives on her own in a house her parents kind of set up for her.
In the episode, you see the development of the characters, where their interests lie, and kind of the building blocks for Ryuji and Taiga's relationship, where it just kind of builds off an awkward situation where Taiga put her love confessing letter into the wrong bag.
She put the love letter without the actual letter in the envelope in his bag, which is super, super funny. And then breaks into his house and tries to take him out. The show is really, I'd say, good at like switching the tone very quickly. It goes from super over the top to kind of like sentimental to funny, like very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
So I want to hear what you thought, like watching this again after, like you said you enjoyed it, like when you watched it previously. How'd you feel about it now?
Okay, so one thing I do want to bring up, I've watched a lot more since I've watched this originally. So, like, you get a real feel for how a lot of slice of life and shoujos, like, set up. Not that I'd call this a shoujo by any means, but, like, you see very similar setups, and this one is a bit quirky in the way it sets up. The first introduction is pretty typical. Our two characters that are going to be quote unquote friends start off literally punching each other, and from there on is where it plays out a bit odd. You have them both entangled in a weird situation where they have to work together. You don't see this kind of thing come about in the first episode. Like, this is usually something for like a third episode where the two main characters get more or less involved with each other, but like they're hatching their eggs early, so you're getting this not only a large amount of development in the characters' perceptions of each other's, but the building blocks for what's going to be. Now, I can't even say the building blocks for what's going to be the thing for the entire series, because that tone changes a lot in this series.
Oh yeah, it just sets up the like what's gonna. It kind of has like a 2 steps ahead kind of mentality, where it kind of prepares you for what's coming, but doesn't give away its cards all the way.
Yeah, the show very much has phases in like people's relationships.
Mm-hmm. And this is the awkward first kind of meet situation. This is the first This is the first time they're communicating, and it's really uncomfortable, and it doesn't exactly end clean, and it gets entangled into a whole new uncomfortable situation where now Taiga is treating him like a servant and is making him try to win Kitamura over for her, and has blackmail on him because he likes her from, which is Kushieda. So it's for like episode 1 and 2, it's already very high concept, and it drops anvils on you.
Oh yeah. One thing I find interesting with the first 2 episodes, most of their discussions are about their love interest, and we really don't know a damn thing about either of them. We know that Minarine Kushieda is very quirky, and Kitamura is, I don't know, accepting of Yuji. Like, literally the only characteristic we get from Kitamura is he's the only guy in the room not scared of Ryuji.
Kitamura's personality is so interesting. It's Kushieda. Like, what's interesting is the next 2 episodes go into. I wrote down summaries of what each week we'd be watching would be about, what they entail. And this one, as I remembered, was the introduction to Taiga and Ryuji. The next 2 episodes are to Minarine and Kitamura. So you get to learn that these two are in love with these characters, have crushes on these other characters, and the next 2 episodes kind of explain, they're like, oh, they must be great characters. Let me tell you more about them.
And how fantastic is it that we're getting to the point where there's just a straight-out confession to a character we don't really know too much about. Usually there's episodes of episodes and development and awkward situations between 2 people before they actually say something to each other.
Oh, the just talk trope.
Yeah.
Characters usually take forever to say their feelings, but they don't say it, and that's in a lot of Japanese media. It's just unrequited love and love letters that don't go anywhere is like the hallmark of that kind of trope, of that like series. And right off the 2nd episode, a bomb awful confession that doesn't. It's so interesting because that confession has Taiga ends up not even thinking and just talks about how much Ryuji is like helpful to her and doesn't realize what she's saying. And Kitamura is very aware. I'd say he's very aware of his place in the show, and he acknowledges that they are good together, but Taiga is unable to see that far ahead and just continues to pursue him.
When I first watched this, I must have just been so oblivious that like there weren't these like really hard hints that, like, hey, maybe these two actually like each other and it might be a bit more than friendship because they're really looking out for each other.
Oh, the hints hit hard.
They're so, like, now when I'm watching it, it's so overt. Like, it's palpable. It's like every time it's like, oh yeah, of course they're gonna end up together or something like that. And like, I remember me at the time when I watched these episodes was like, either, oh yeah, this is definitely gonna be a fake out, or nah, they're just good friends and they're gonna help each other. Like, I bought into it so hard.
Well, had you seen Harry Met Sally before that or after that?
No, this was before I've watched most, like, films. Like, this was the time where I was just strictly watching anime, and really slice of life wasn't too much my thing.
When you're like genre savvy with it, and you've seen like shows or movies that acknowledge that it's hard for men and women to be friends, or generally the trope of they'll end up together, I can imagine it wouldn't be as easy to like read between the lines. But I think Toradora does it very eloquently. Like, the first episode has an opening like poem about like what an intangible object that you cannot see or reach, but if you find it, you will be happy. And they're having the two characters talk, and it's super overt. Their shoes are next to each other in the opening shot. It's super overt what it is, but it almost is done in a kind of like hands off. This is what's going to happen, or will it? We're not sure. We'll tell you the story kind of situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Upon rewatching it, I when I first watched it, I watched about 7 episodes without actually letting that click as well, where I just kind of didn't. I thought it was just going to be they were friends trying to win the other affection and maybe something would happen, but I wasn't aware what I was in store for. And so it's interesting to go back and, once you look at it again with open eyes, there's a lot of bricks.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about that opening.
Oh, God. Parade.
Yeah. So I'm super into openings in anime that tell stories and are very, like, artistically deep. But Toradora, while it's not very deep, it has a lot of, like, layers to it being a slice of life opening. Like the second opening, which is Silky Heart, they do it later, that has a lot more, like, kind of meaning behind each shot. But this one, it kind of, like, has this interesting, cool, skin deep vibe while still kind of making you more comfortable with what's going to come. I'd say when I think slice of life, I think of that opening because you just see people, you see these characters are super strange and super weird, but then they're kind of living their life, and for some reason, all the poppy, bright colors and pastels kind of just, like, warms me up to it.
Yeah, you'd almost think a song like that wouldn't fit a love strong, like, comedy like this.
Yeah, it's interesting how what's interesting is that the song it doesn't seem to fit with the opening, and then when the second song comes in, which is more likely what you hear, you feel like it doesn't belong as well. It's like you get so used to hearing this song over and over. It's kind of like a foreign reminder of what you're in for.
Yeah, it's almost too heavy. Like, it has, like, a very, very heavy beat when it goes on, but I never once thought that, like, it didn't fit. I mean, you have, like, these very strong personalities, and it's almost like a showcase for them. You see them together, and while the actions they do are very simple, because of the intricacies between each person's relationship, like, maybe that's the bombastic part that you're not seeing. So it's not really, it's not supposed to match the visuals, but it's supposed to match your understanding of what's going on in the background.
You'll see Minarine Kushieda be Ryuji's crush. You'll see her playing baseball. You'll see her doing other things those are parts of her personality. You'll see Kitamura interacting with the student vice president, but you don't actually, or the student president, and you don't really see anything. You see, like, bits and pieces of their personality. You'll have to fill in the blanks, and I think it does a solid job of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember what studio did this. I think it might have been Bones or Bean. I don't know.
JC Staff.
JC Staff. Okay, I think they did something. I don't know. I don't know a lot of anime studios, but I do know that, like, the work here is top notch. solid. Like the animation especially, like I don't think I ever saw a really bad off model.
Utena, Slayers,
Slayers.
Anzumanga.
Okay, so they definitely know their slice of life.
Oh yeah.
There's one part where Taiga had the Chio eyes, like the little white dots.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think of like the comedy though? I thought a lot of it hit really hard.
Oh yeah. There's I guess I'll like go into the English dub on this. First things first, it can't not be mentioned. Wow, Taiga's voice is very different. Played by a very like high pitched, very Japanese voice actress, but here it's, I wouldn't say deeper, but a more subdued voice actress. But at the same time, it almost works so much better. The first time I heard it,
high school, yeah.
Yeah, the first time I heard it, I cringed a bit because I'm like, oh man, like this is not what I feel the character is at all. But I think it took me all of 5 minutes to realize, no, they're doing a good job with this. I really feel like this is going to pan out, and throughout the 2 episodes, yeah, there wasn't a single hiccup.
Absolutely, I actually. Someone was watching this, and they recommended it to me. And one of the things they sold me on is I love dubs. They're like, "Oh, Cassandra Morris does the lead character," and I'm like, "Oh," and I loved her in Tales of Graces, and I loved her in Danganronpa. So I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot because I want to hear some good acting." And she's great. The other lead, which is Eric Kimmerer, I think. That was his like first big role. He was in like Magi beforehand, I believe, but he wasn't in any like huge leading roles until then. I could be wrong, but like he's there, and when there's other people that have been there for decades, like Johnny Young Bosch does the Black Ranger from Power Rangers Space does Itamura, and like he's the lead guy, and they hold a scene together. That's great acting, and he does all the comedy bits. He nails them.
I can definitely say the comedy in this is definitely still on par. Of course, there's some jokes that have to change. Most of the parrots jokes, some wordplay here and there, but like it still hits pretty solidly.
I don't know if it's Moxie, but they did a fantastic job of just like following the script really well, and then kind of diverging when they wanted to.
Oh yeah, like Minorine?
Minorine.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I'd almost say she's better in this one than some of the stuff I remember.
Minorine's actress did, if you ever seen Kill la Kill, Minorine did Mako. And I almost want to believe that they met the actress and went, okay, you can just say whatever. Because she kind of owns that role.
Oh yeah, she must be, I can only assume part of it is ad-libbing.
There has to be some of it. I know in Haruhi Suzumiya, which the same ADR director, there was a scene where, have you ever seen that show?
No.
There was a scene where the main character sees a pair of giant breasts, and his first thought is supposed to be they're big, and his dub is supersize me. And they kept that in. So I would not be surprised if they're totally like 1 or 2 lines that kind of just snuck in. Which is, it's good. Like you get the feeling like the actors nail it well, and like I often find myself on the lonely edge fighting for why I love English dubs, and I feel like shows like these are a great sign of how like with good direction and a good cast, like it can tell the same story, but just kind of for a Western audience.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there wasn't a culture gap here. I feel like that's something that some dubs can really suffer from, but they definitely did their homework.
Yeah, if you've ever heard the Azumanga dub, well, it's really funny. It's super hard for them to get past the culture problem because every honorific stays in.
Oh yeah.
And here they have the issue because like so there are dubs like Evangelion's dub where they bypass the whole calling you by last name thing immediately, and they just call everyone by their first or last name, depending on the situation in English. But here they kind of did it. They acknowledge that calling someone by a first name is a big deal, but then they don't ever use any kind of like honorifics. So I feel like that kind of makes it a little more relatable as well, because like Taiga and Ryuji start off on such diametric oppositions that it would make sense that they call each other their last name.
It almost doesn't make sense at all that they start off almost instantly calling each other their first names.
Yeah, because like they start in like an almost Street Fighter situation.
Yeah.
Taiga
Appa.
Man, I enjoyed. I think the first episode, if anything, it's interesting how like I have a lot of the soundtrack downloaded and I'll listen to it while I'm like on a drive or I'm going for a jog, running like a nice like park, and I'll remember a lot of the music, but I did not remember that Persona style rock that plays when Taiga's like getting all mad with her wooden katana, and it almost felt out of place.
I'll agree to that.
So I was interested because I'm watching this video. There's a moment where I was thinking, did I forget? Was this show a little uneven? But it only seems to be like the first episode. I don't remember the wooden sword showing up more than 2 more times, like for a serious moment.
Well, we'll keep that in mind as we keep watching. We'll try to keep an ear out for that music.
Yeah, I'd love to see how many times they go into a heavy, like action style situation. I know one off the top of my head. That's the end of part 1. But I'm interested in seeing what. I feel like when you remember the good things about a show, sometimes you push away any kind of negative thing, or you didn't acknowledge it the first time. I'm curious. That was the only thing I could think of rewatching it that was a negative to me.
Negatives. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the previous statement. I'm finding it really hard to find anything negative real off the bat. Maybe what I mentioned before, the cliche situation where they meet, where they're fighting, like right in the beginning. Like if their first interaction, like actually talking to each other, was just them in the room with the bag, I feel like that could have worked. It didn't have to start with the uppercut, They could have like just seen each other from afar, or like heard somebody talking about him. It's like, oh, that's that crazy girl everybody's talking about, and she'd be like, oh, that's that delinquent everybody's talking about.
That's true. But I think that was actually, I thought that was the most unique offering that the show provided, which is, it almost feels like Ryuji is documenting Taiga. It feels like this is a kind of a through his eyes view through the entire show of like the wonderific view of Taiga Isuka, where just you see it from an outside perspective. He ran into her first, he gets uppercutted by her, and that's like she met him with a punch.
Okay.
And it's interesting because he narrates. He's the only narrator I believe you have, and his views on her are often conflicting with what he's doing, where he will want nothing to do with the situation, but he will remark fondly of her.
Well, you do hear her thoughts every once in a while.
That is, I don't remember that.
I do know a particular scene where you do, in fact, hear her thoughts.
Okay.
Future scene.
Okay, I definitely believe you. It's just in the beginning, at least. It seems like it's just like the documentary of Taiga situation. Like an interview, an interview with a Taiga. I don't know.
Wow. Dinner with Taiga.
Yeah, I'm super excited to keep watching it. The next 2 episodes are the introduction to the crushes a little more, and I think it just keeps getting more exciting after. I think after episode 6, when you have the whole cast together, then they just go with more actual slice of life plots.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Because I just remember off the top of my head that once they get the whole ensemble together, they bring that ensemble everywhere. They don't split up the ensemble for like a good chunk of the first half. That they all bounce off each other. I think that kind of relates to Friends, where if you're hanging out with people in a group,
the show Friends?
Oh, the show Friends. No, the actual Friends. It's just when you hang out with someone one-on-one, you kind of get a stronger understanding of them. And then when you hang out in a group, it kind of everything bounces off the other person, and it becomes a kind of an echo chamber, if you will. So watching every character have a moment with Ryuji or Taiga, and then they all meet up in one room, which is I think episode 8 or 9 later on, then it's interesting to see everything that's built up so far, like, come out.
Yeah, I definitely. I think where this show really shines is when you have like 4 out of the 5 in the room talking about the 5th. You know what I mean? That's where you're gonna get like these scenes, or like even 3 people talking about the 4 and 5.
Oh, this show's really good at filling in how people talk about each other.
Yep.
Which it's a big fear that I have, but it happens, and I do it too. Everyone talks about everyone, and it's super interesting to see how characters will be so sweet and friendly to each other and absolutely love the other person. But if something bothers them, they use the other friends as an outlet.
Yeah, it's kind of shitty, but that's just how relationships work sometimes.
So, what do you remember about the next episodes? What is your predictions?
It's been so long.
I can't say predictions because you definitely remember pinpoints.
Yeah, I remember major plot points, but I mean, only the really major ones, like where interests lie and how that shifts, and Christmas and all that stuff.
Then I ask you this: so, what do you want to see the show do in its next few episodes? What do you feel like it could do next that would keep you as on board as you are right now?
I'm really interested to see how they flesh out Kitamura and Minari a bit better. I mean, because I obviously like know what kind of characters they are from like my past watchings, but first impressions of development are so important, and I almost wonder if there were like hints here and there of things I've missed.
I would say that you get. It's interesting because going back, I've caught quite a few actually like body language animations in some of the characters that tells you everything you need to know about where they are at the end of the show. Because Kitamura and Minari, like, they know their place. I've been listening to a lot of Hamilton, and the character George Washington knows his place in history, and he is aware of everything that's around him and what he has to do. And these 2 characters are kind of like that, where they're the love interests, but they know what the story's really about. And you can tell sometimes in certain situations where they have something on their mind, or they know what to say, but they'll keep it to themselves. I'm definitely interested in seeing how they do that in the next few episodes, because it was a little subtle detail I didn't notice until rewatching it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like little clues I really want to look at now. Like that's going to be a big major thing I'm trying to look out for.
Absolutely, and one more props to the dub. The what are you, sexist?
Oh
line.
yeah,
So
it seems so.
I don't want
odd.
to hit a girl. Oh, the dub's so good. I'm excited to keep watching more. Any closing thoughts?
I'm excited for Christmas.
Oh, I'm
excited to be sad.
I've never been so excited for Christmas to watch Christmas and break my heart.
Yeah, like when you said we were going to start this watching it thing, part of me was like, oh, cool, I get to revisit like this series I know I liked, and other part of me was, great, get to be in a lot of pain and be real sad.
Yeah, when I started watching it, I told you, and all you told me was, tell me when it's Christmas. And I was like, okay. And then I watched Christmas, and you're like, is it Christmas? And I went, yes. And you went, oh, God, Christmas.
Thank you to Eddie Gomez for our theme music and Phil Vasquez for our cover art.
Do you guys want to hear some more? Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload an episode.
Also, check out other shows on Kitchen Bed Media. We have 102 Cast, we have Chai Guys, and we have a few more things coming down the pipeline.
Ooh, what could it be? Guys, we are also on Twitter. Check us out. Palmtop Podcast. Throw it in that search bar. You'll find us.
Hey, Kyle, quick, best girl.
Best girl? Easy. Sanjo Gahara.
What?
Spell that.
CTS.